Why did we go down this tangent?
You definitely put me on the spot.
Welcome to Cult I.D, the youth cultural identity program by young women discussing current issues and gender disparity in the sound production industry.
Be the one who made the collective vision come to fruition.
Brought to you by the Department of Communities and Justice, River FM and TheArthouse.
It's a long way to the shop if you want a sausage roll.
Oh!
Yeah. Hello and welcome to Cult I.D, brought to you by the Department of Communities and Justice, River FM and TheArthouse. I'm here with Tilly. Hi, Tilly.
Hi, Janelle.
How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. We have had a very full-on week, haven't we? Tilly has been doing work experience here. So we have been basically 10 to 4ing it, haven't we? Not quite 9 to 5, but 10 to 4. And so we're a little bit exhausted, but we're looking forward to a great show.
Yeah.
And what have you learned thus far this week?
Oh, I've learned lots of things. So I've made a logo for the
very
podcast.
Good logo.
And I've made an introduction.
Yes, an intro to our podcast.
And then I've just been getting upskilled on different sort of Adobe apps, like Audition.
Yep.
Yep. So
for those who don't know out there in listening land, Audition is a editing program for sound production. So if you've only just tuned in to Cult I.D for the first time, this was funded by the Department of Communities and Justice to address the gender disparity in the sound production industry, which is...
That's 95% men.
Yes, it's a very disturbing fact, and we're trying to do something about that, aren't we?
Yes.
Yeah. And actually, if you are a woman or a young girl or identifying as, and you're between the ages of 14 to 24, we still have some positions available. So you can contact me here at Cult I.D or through the ArtHouse email, which is thearthouse@2ncr.org.au. And we have a few positions left, and you'll get upskilled in all those things that Tilly just talked about. What has been some of the best parts about the upskilling that you've garnered this far?
Like, what are my favourites? Yeah, so I really liked making the intro because it was really fun, and when it came together, you'd be like, oh, this is like professional stuff, like what you hear when people play things, and it's cool to hear my voice on that. Yeah.
Well, you say it's cool to hear your voice on it, but you have experienced a few red flushes I have seen over the last couple of days. So as much as it's cool, can it be a little bit embarrassing or confronting?
Yeah. It took a few tries to get that intro, I'm not going to lie. Yeah. Stumbled over a bit, but it's all right. We got there.
Yeah, we certainly did. And today we've got some interesting interviews coming up for you. We have Hussy Hicks, which is a fabulous band that identifies with being local, kind of. They're definitely not Northern Ribs women, and they are about to do another Australian tour, so we'll have them calling in at 5. Mm-hmm. And then at 5:15 we have Ellie Hatt. And we're not quite sure how to pronounce Hatt yet, spelt Hatte. Yes. That could be Hatte.
Hatte.
We shall find out for you. And she's got an exhibition coming up at Flourish Art Gallery that is called Deluge, I think. Is that correct? Deluge?
Yes, and she's a photographer.
Yeah, and it's at Marion. I think a lot of the photographs were taken at Marion Conroe's house, another very well-known local artist and a South Sidey whose house got hit over near Engine Street there by the Boral Oil Company. So her house, a few of those houses in that small localised area are just still to this day covered in oil because it's almost impossible to get off. So it's not enough that we've all in the WOC had to deal with all sorts of mud over the last 9 months, and probably many of us, including myself, still are. But poor Marion's had to deal with oil as well. So that's revolting. All right, well, let's kick off with some tunes from Hussy Hicks.
Yeah.
We might start with the first one on their playlist here, which is That Old Heartache. This is Why Cult I.D.
Hello, welcome back to Why Cult I.D with Janelle and Tilly.
Hi, Tilly.
Hi, Janelle. Janelle's just setting up the video for our podcast. We've got a new toy.
It's so exciting, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think we might have to play a song or two before we do the videoing, but for our listeners out there, please watch this space, because part of the podcast project that we've been funded is to not only have podcasts up on our website, which this afternoon we achieved. Congratulations. We weren't able to get the logo up with the podcast, but if you were to Google River FM and just go to the River FM website, hopefully on the front page you will see our first post, I guess you would say, which does include the logo. And then if you go to the right side of the website, you will see podcasts. Press on that and ours will be at the bottom there, Why Cult ID. So please go ahead and have a listen. And then in the near future, we hope to have available for you the video versions.
Yeah.
If not on the website, hopefully on the website, but if not, we will definitely have them available on all other types of platforms. What are we talking about? YouTube?
Like YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Yeah.
Well, the audio podcast should be available on Spotify and on Apple. But the video stuff thus far, all we've thought about is YouTube. There's Vimeo. We could probably do Vimeo. Yep, and we'll find what other platforms. And so watch this space coming at you. Yes.
Are you looking for fresh local seafood? Swifty's Fresh Seafood Market will satisfy your needs. Swifty's Seafood is conveniently located opposite the cinemas in Keene Street, Lismore. Open daily from 10 a.m. to 5:30 p.m, closed Sundays. Book your Christmas order at Swifty Seafood now. Drop in or call 02 56 11 6172.
Sponsoring River FM 92.9.
Are you a farmer looking for new ideas? Do you want to hear from experts about healthy soil processes and regenerative agriculture? Then join farmers from all over the country at the Australian Biological Farming Conference and Expo, December the 2nd to 4th at Lismore Southern Cross University. You can attend in person or register as a virtual delegate. Find out more at www.australianbiologicalfarmingconference.org. That's www.australianbiologicalfarmingconference.org.
Sponsoring River FM 92.9.
Do you need an attractive functional denture? Active Denture Clinic offers a free, no-obligation consultation. With years of technical experience and design excellence, Active Denture Clinic delivers quality results directly to you. All types of dentures, including implant retained dentures. Call Active Denture Clinic on 6622 7794 at 26 Europa Street, Lismore, down from the base hospital opposite Lismore Shopping Square. Active Denture Clinic and making everyday life easier.
Sponsoring River FM 92.9.
Hello and welcome back to River FM 92.9. This is Why Cult ID and we are live on air and we are also filming, which is exciting. That's our first filming opportunity with the new Why Cult ID project, which is a project for women and young girls to address the gender disparity in the sound production industry. We're going to play some more songs from Hussey Hicks in the next 10 or so minutes, and then we're going to be doing an interview with them, which will be exciting. We'll get to discuss all sorts of issues around what it's like to be a woman or a couple, female couple in the sound production industry. And yeah, there's all sorts of different scenarios around that. What do you think would be some interesting factors that may be different for women than men in the sound production industry? We did discuss one before, which was about motherhood.
Oh, yeah.
That makes it difficult, doesn't it? And can you think of anything else off the top of your head that might make it difficult? So there is also, because being a performer is a visual medium, some female performers have expressed to me that they've been subject to a fair bit of sexism.
Right.
So not only are you in club environments, so there's alcohol involved, and often those kind of environments can be, say, for instance, pick-up places too, but that can translate to women on stage, which they don't particularly appreciate. Can you imagine what that would feel like?
Yeah.
Yeah? You can? Okay. I'm just going to... what do you think that would feel like, for instance? You know, to be... Because you do theatre, say, right?
Right, yeah.
And have you ever been on stage and felt a little bit objectified?
No, I haven't.
You haven't? No. Okay, well, that's good. So...
Luckily.
Yeah, but I suppose the same could be said for men. They can be feeling a little bit objectified on stage as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyway, let's play some songs. Who are we going to interview after Hussey Hicks coming up about 5:15?
Interviewing photographer Ellie Hatt.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, that's fantastic. Well, you're listening to
River FM on Cult I.D 92.9.
Very good. Hello and welcome back to Cult I.D. Hello, can you hear me, Jules?
I can. Can you hear me?
I can. Thank you very much for calling back in. And we're excited to have you here on Cult I.D. You're here with me, Janelle, and Tilly.
Can't hear them.
Oh, it's nice to be there with you both. Did I hear Tilly say you can't hear me?
Yes, you heard Tilly. She can't hear you for some reason.
Oh.
Are you okay now?
No.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, whilst we're figuring that out, I'll ask you some questions, Jules.
Sounds great.
Yeah. So today, the reason we asked you to call in, apart from the fact that you've got a tour coming up, which we're excited to hear about, is that we've been funded through the Department of Communities and Justice to organise a podcast through River FM which addresses the sound production industry and the gender disparity in the sound production industry. Do you know much about that?
Well, I know a lot about it, being someone who's dedicated my whole life to being in the music industry and has also done a lot of sound work as a girl. I guess that's something I know a lot about.
Yeah, of course you are. Tilly's got a question for you when she comes back, and we've sorted out that headphone issue. But I'll save that one for her. But, yeah, do tell us about some of the issues, because it is a very male-dominated industry. And have you felt as though you've been segregated or ostracised at all?
I feel like I was quite lucky. From an early age, I don't know if it was just my upbringing or the people I was surrounded by, but I was always pretty happy to have a go.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the main thing is we just, there wasn't a lot of role models. We weren't visible. There weren't people to look up to. So you had to sort of be confident enough to just get amongst it because you were driven to do so. And you had to not be scared of, being called a tomboy or being surrounded by, guys in the field. I know with a lot of the audio stuff I've done over the years, all my peers have been male until quite recently. And it was the same. I was a kid who liked to play guitar, and all my peers were males, and surf. And back then there was mostly males doing it. But I think it's just a case. It's not a physically taxing thing, and I actually find some of the best sound engineers we've got to work with over the years have been female. There's probably something about that. There's a bit of a less gung-ho approach from women, probably because we've had to, learn how to listen over the years quite well. But there's definitely nothing that sets us behind the eight ball, except for just not having clear role models and being visible and having having that obvious choice of going into it. So I think as that breaks down, and it is breaking down, there's more and more female sound engineers doing the work and being out there. And I think once the younger girls start realising that it just is something they can sink their teeth into and become passionate about, then I think the disparity should go away.
Yeah.
I haven't ever felt personally like I was held back, but it does take a lot of confidence because people will give you that you don't know anything until they hear otherwise. So that's something we've had to overcome.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that's what we're trying to address here at Cult I.D, which stands for Youth Cultural Identity. But it's definitely for women and young girls because one of the catchphrases I've heard is you have to see it to be it. So Tilly here is very much wanting to get into sound production, mainly for film actually, but she's still interested in the musical aspect of it.
Yeah.
And she had a question if you actually knew the percentage. Do you want to ask?
Yeah, so what do you think the gender disparity in the sound production is as a percentage? Yeah.
Out of 100, yeah.
Oh, I'm sure that there have been studies done and there would be an exact figure. If I was happy to do it as part of a trivia night at the Metropole Hotel, I would probably say it's like right up there, probably like it could be as high as 90% males.
Yeah, is that...
it's...
Well, you tell her. Mm-hmm.
It's 95% actually.
95, yeah, okay. I had a feeling it might have been that bad, but I didn't want to sound like a negative Nancy.
Yeah. But anyway, well, let's talk more about your upcoming tour. You do have a show in Coffs Harbour, which isn't too far away from us. Are you going to be playing anywhere in the Northern Rivers for part of that tour?
Well, funnily enough, you asked. We actually spent last weekend in the Northern Rivers, so I could just tell you what a great time we had.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we played the Star Court Theatre, that was a really beautiful event for us because there's more locals and we were like the club and like you and Dan Triple Nip who did the supports that we were all smashed by the floods. So
yes,
to be able to all get back together and have that venue, as soon as we saw the venue was back on its feet and running, we booked that straight in. So, yeah, we were there on Friday night and it was a really special night.
Oh, I'm sorry I missed it. That sounds great, yeah. Oh, well, that's good. And so, Tilly, you've got a couple of other questions for Jules about playing guitar especially and some sound production specific questions?
Yeah, so as the guitarist of the group, do you make the most decisions in regards to sound production or is it the both of you collaborating evenly?
As a guitar player, I don't sort of get any extra calls when it comes to sound, but I have actually sort of taken the reins and, been the producer of our last few releases. So I've at least had to try and be the one who made the collective vision, come to fruition. With a band, there's never a captain's call where it's like, I think it should sound like this and someone else doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that's not what it's about. But no, I've worn the producer hat and the sort of, the engineer hat for our last couple of releases. So I have, I guess, had a lot more to say about shaping the direction than I may have otherwise had if I was just playing guitar.
Do you have a home studio or do you go into a professional studio for that?
We have a bit of both. We're just getting our studio. Our studio was unfortunately underwater on February 28th.
Yeah.
And it was a hybrid. It was kind of like a highly functioning home studio.
Mm-hmm.
So we would go in, we would go up to Love Street on the Gold Coast and we'd tracked all of the main beds of the drums and so we could all play at once. And because I'm a musician too, not just the engineer, it meant that I could not think so much about making sure I was checking that every channel was recording and there was no glitches and no clipping. So we would sort of go and do that there, but then we'd take back all those sessions to our studio and, we did a lot of the overdubs and, the Same Boat single that we released was mixed entirely in our studio, as would the others have been, except it got washed away. But
Yeah.
we'll be back. We'll be back there from. We're back in there now, but we're just in the middle of a tour, so we haven't done a lot of actual studio work. But that's the plan. Yeah.
And did you have to do some personal funding to be able to replace all that equipment?
Yeah. I was very lucky too. I have an amazing tech guy on the Gold Coast who's a bit of a genius, and he managed to salvage some gear that I probably never would have got again if he hadn't. Because, I've been, buying microphones and equipment since I was 13, and Lisa's pretty much the same. So we still had parts of, our old teenage PAs that you'd use because you've got these great old SM57s or Bayo M88s that you've just had in. And there's these things that when you accumulate over, 25 years, you don't think about the couple of $100 you spent on it, but when you're looking at replacing it all, it's quite daunting. But we're lucky. We've got, we're quite visible, and a few people have helped us, and we managed to qualify for the business grant because we're running the business there. So
good. I was going to ask
if you got on track.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you got some grant money. That's great. And so, Tilly, you had shall we leave with one other question that you were interested in to help you with your career or something?
Right. Yeah. So, what advice would you give to any young women listening that are wanting to enter the sound or music industry?
I think if you've made it so far as to have an inkling that you might want to do it, then just do it. Get amongst it. Don't be scared. Trust your ears. It's probably the big one. Like, don't wait for people. If you think something sounds good, it sounds good. And there's going to be people who agree with you. There might be, there's so many technical variations in the way people produce music. And if you've just got to, it comes down to trusting your ears. So if you think you want to do it, then do it and listen. And do as much as you can and try and get better.
Right, that's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you very much, Jules. We're going to announce all of your upcoming dates on Friday at the Seaforth Bowling Club, etc., a little bit later. We can do that for you after we've let you go. And we're going to play another one of your songs for our listeners right now. And just say Thank you very much for ringing in, and we hope to see you back in the area soon. Have a fabulous tour.
Yes, we shall. And if you need any more, I'm really happy to get involved in any way I can with this project. So please, keep me in the loop. And if there's anything I can do to be of help, I'm happy and I'm local.
Oh, thank you. That would be fabulous. In fact, we've just announced to our listeners that we've gone video cast as well as podcast. So we're hoping to be able to set up a situation where we can get local musicians to come in live to the radio show and video it as well. So that'll be great, not only for our content, but for yours as well.
Sounds exciting. I love River FM. I love everything you do there.
That's great. Thank you very much. We'll say goodbye.
Okay, thanks.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
There you have it. That was Jules from Hussey Hicks. And guess what? We've got our next interviewer coming. Oh, were they ringing in straight away? I'm not entirely. Oh, yes, they are. So let's go back-to-back interviews, shall we? Hello, can you hear me, Ellie? Hello, can you hear me, Ellie?
I can.
Yeah.
Hello.
We can hear you, and you're here with Tilly, and my name's Janelle, and this is Cult I.D. Thank you for calling in.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
We were wondering, how do you prefer your last name to be pronounced, Hattie or Hat?
It's Hattie.
Hattie, okay.
Yes.
Fabulous. Ellie Hattie for our listeners out there, and you are a local photographer. You've got an exhibition coming up called Deluge?
Deluge, yes.
Deluge, and that's photographs, I believe, is it of Marion Conroy's house?
So it was Tallulah Ray's house at the time of the photo shoot.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so and Tallulah Ray is a local performing artist as well. Is she a visual artist as well, or mainly just performance?
She is. She likes to call herself an experienced designer. So she's a multifaceted artist. Dips her finger into a lot of different art forms. So, yeah, it's an exciting exhibition that's coming up. It's an unexpected exhibition as well. Mm-hmm. It came out of a moment of pure inspiration that sort of arose during the cleanup of the first flood that hit Lismore this year. And so, it's a fairly powerful body of work, but it's also somehow became fairly beautiful as well. So, it should be good.
It's very macabre, these sort of themes. I also was flood affected, as was our last interviewee, who was Jules from Hussey Hicks. Do you know Hussey Hicks?
I don't, no.
Okay, they're a very well-known local band, female duo. And
amazing.
Yeah, and they lost all of their whole sound production gear, which was... So we've been hearing a lot of these stories, but to bring the catharsis from that trauma into the art world is something that I think is very valid. And is that what you're attempting to do?
Yeah, definitely. It's, the moment that we experienced when we created the art was really cathartic because, there's a whole myriad of emotions that are being traversed through, a natural disaster, and to take hold of the little moment of joy that you are experiencing and create something with that is really special. So that's kind of what we did. And also I think it's a real comment on the state of the world at the moment, and, the climate collapse, lots of different aspects to that, and then also just the ongoing struggle that people are facing living in a post-natural disaster environment, which is really, really hard for a lot of people. Even, 10 months on, so many people are still homeless, and, it really kind of highlights that because it was shot inside the house. It's really... it's quite powerful on a number of levels. Yeah,
we actually here at Cult I.D have discussed climate change because, just to give you a heads up on the project itself, it's been funded by the Department of Communities and Justice to address the gender disparity in the sound production industry.
Okay.
Yeah, and so we do discuss issues that are relevant for all young people, and especially for young women and girls. And I have with me here Tilly. She's 15, and she's got some questions for you.
Hi, Tilly.
Hi, Ellie. So,
how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm well, thanks.
So, as we just announced, we have done this podcast to address the gender disparity in the sound production industry. Okay. Might you be able to guess what that may be?
In terms of a percentage of 100?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Like maybe 20, 80? I don't know.
Yeah, and that would be
I would imagine it's quite low.
Yeah, 20% being women and 80 men.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Tilly?
It's 95% men, 5% women.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And does that translate into the photography world, we were wondering?
Yeah, look, it does a little bit. It depends on what genre of photography you're in, I suppose. I think a lot of commercial photography is dominated by men, but I actually work in a photography studio that's, 95% run by females.
Right.
So, it just really depends. The fashion industry is quite often dominated by women, so it does balance out a little bit there. But, that you definitely do find certain genres that are dominated by men, for sure.
Yeah, we were talking about in regards to the many different roles you have in the film industry as well, weren't we, Tilly, before? Because Tilly would like to get into filming, so sound production is a large part of that, but also there will be the filming part. And actually, we're filming you right now, even though we can't see you.
Oh, okay.
We've got a video.
Good to know.
We've got a video cast of our radio show for the very first time today. So thank you for being part of that.
Oh, pleasure.
Yeah. Now we should probably mention where the exhibition's going to be. That's at Flourish, isn't it?
It is. It's in Flourish Gallery in South Lismore, Casino Street, South Lismore. The opening will be on the 2nd of December at 5 o'clock, and it's a red carpet event. So we want everyone to get really dressed up and, have a great time and come and have a champagne to celebrate and commiserate, the the year that we've had.
Yeah.
There's a lot of. I just also wanted to mention it's not just a photography event. Tallulah will also be displaying some of her art, which unfortunately did get damaged in the flood, but has been resurrected in the exhibition. And she's also going to be setting up her Paper Moon photo booth at the opening night, so everyone can come and get a picture taken in the stars.
Oh, fantastic. I have seen them before. I haven't got one yet, so I must do that. And just before Tilly leaves us with her last question, I did want to point out about the flooded art. There's so many artists in this area that lost their entire life's work, including myself. So some of the that's all right. Some of the conversations around that is reforming the art. So excuse my language and language warning people out there, but one of the concept is fucked photos. So a whole exhibition of not only just the photos themselves, but the conversations that go along with what that photo meant to you prior and what the experience was with finding it, peeling it, and what it is now.
Amazing. That sounds great.
Yeah. So hopefully I'll be working on that one in the future, which will be potentially a collaborative project for all the artists and photographers, there you go, that have lost a lot of their work. So hopefully we can touch base on that. And there's also other ideas like collage and all sorts of things of reinventing old lost pieces if you've kept whatever you could.
Yes. Well, it's just a process of rebirthing it, isn't it? Transforming it into something else.
Yeah.
So, which is what everybody's doing with their lives anyway.
Yes, that's right. Okay, Tilly, would you like to ask Ellie one last question and we'll say thank you and goodbye?
All right. So with our project that is based around young women going into the sound industry, what would you like to hear on this within this project?
What would you like to see come out of it, you mean? Yeah.
Definitely gender equality. I think there's so many talented musicians and sound engineers on both sides of the fence. So, just a balance in the industry would be fantastic.
Yes, we'd like that across the whole world and the planet.
Across the world, on every industry. That would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Oh, well, thank you very much for ringing in, and we will, towards the end of the show, we'll repeat those dates for the exhibition coming up, and I'll definitely be going, so I'll be looking forward to meeting you.
Amazing. Looking forward to meeting you there too. Thanks for having me.
Okay,
awesome.
thank you. Bye.
Okay, bye guys. Yeah.
And that was Ellie Hattie? Yeah,
yes.
Hattie, wasn't it? Ellie Hattie, who's got an exhibition coming up at Flourish Art Gallery called Deluge. Deluge, because we all experienced a very big deluge, didn't we, here in Lismore?
Yep. And Janelle's just taken a photo instead of a video. It's all good.
Okay, yes, we're upskilling over here. Thank you. Right, so we're going to say goodbye in a minute, but we did want to leave you with a few very interesting statistics that we have for you about women in the sound production industry. Wow. Yeah, so this article we are citing from We Need Women to Break Through the Glass Ceiling in Music Production to EQ the Gender Imbalance.
And that's Production Expert. Yep.
Very good. And you can find that online, Production Expert Audio Solutions. Yep. And one of the very interesting things that we thought we should tell you, because we did mention that there's different aspects of the sound industry, so therefore different statistics. And in a study of popular songs from 2012 to 2018, researchers from the USC Annenberg found that women make up 21.7% of artists, 12.3% of songwriters, and just 2.1% of producers. So to put that last number in a different way, that's a ratio of 47 men to 1 woman. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's not... We're really, trying to balance that out here. So hopefully this project does something about that.
Exactly, that's right. That's why we've been funded. It's what Jules mentioned before too. That's Jules from Hussey Hicks.
Yes.
That she was very supportive of us doing this project because you need to see it to be it, and hopefully there's some young girls out there listening who are going, well, maybe I do want to make it in EQ. What I did there was a segue because makeiteql.com is a initiative by Sound Girl, which is a blog, and it's also a directory. So hang on. In 2008, Sound Girls and Spotify launched it.
And Spotify, yeah.
Yeah. And so what would the directory do?
That's dedicated to amplify employment of women in the audio industry, but not only women, also non-binary and trans. So that's awesome.
That is important.
Yeah.
So if you are in a band and you're thinking that you want to go and get a song laid down, then please think about looking up some of these directories and think about getting some women. I know, for instance, I had to outsource to Brisbane in order to get a female sound engineer for Royal Women's Music Festival.
Yeah, right.
That's how far away I had to go to get one, which is pretty sad. Also, there was inclusion at the Grammys. That was a bit of a problem. What have we got there? Okay, so it looks bleak. 10.4% of Grammy nominees from 2013 to 2019 were female, whereas
10.4%.
Yeah, so that's 89.6% male.
Oh wow,
that's not fair, is it?
No, that's very small.
So there's singers and songwriters that so it's looking a little bit better for them. And Best New Artist was 58.9%. Let's just see what it says. Male, but that's pretty good, isn't it? That's almost half. But, Producer of the Year, 97.4% male. Atrocious, isn't it? So we've only got just under 10 minutes left. So
the other thing was Air It.
Oh, Air It, that's right. Did you want to tell them about Air It?
Yeah, so Air It is the website.
It is a kind of a website. It's also a directory.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's online. So it's by AMRAP. That's the Australian Music Radio Program.
And that's, if you're looking to find some Aussie artists to support, that's a great place to find it.
Yeah, well, it is actually more, for the terms of this conversation, it's more if you're an artist out there, then you can put your music up on there for free.
Yeah.
And you'll get royalties from that if you are played on radio. So as radio DJs, which you now are, yes, you have access to that. That means that we can play your song and we have the copyright to just play that song on air. No other copyright, of course, that belongs to the artist. And if you want to hold up the piece of paper to our video camera, we then put it on a piece of paper, and each one of those things that gets a tick Australian gets 20 cents. Yep. As opposed to, do you remember what it is on Spotify?
0.006?
6, correct.
Cents.
Per cent, less than a cent per play. So put your songs up on Air It, and if you can, convince a radio DJ to play it for you, you're going to get a check in the mail for 20 cents. But anyway, that's good. Maybe you can get lots of radio DJs to play your songs for you. All right, bye for now. Thank you for listening to Cult I.D.